If I had to explain to someone what I do, which is what I normally have to do when I'm in customs, to explain to someone, oh, I'm a street photographer, then they have this idea of, oh, so you take photos of just random people on the street. No, I'm kind of like a fashion documentary photographer, and then they're like, you take photos on the runway then. It's hard to explain because it's a very specialized field of photography now and didn't really exist before, but now that it's been more glamorized, I think maybe people have more of an understanding. But, you know, I just try to explain to them, you know, I just really just document what people are wearing all around the world. And I think that kind of paints a picture to someone of what I do. When I started shooting, I didn't really anticipate having a career in photography. It was just something I wanted to do for fun. You know, I really just wanted to crash the party and just wanted to document these beautiful creatures. It's very much like the Olympics of fashion, what happens at Fashion Week. When I first wanted to go to the shows, I was sending emails to all these PR companies. If you're lucky, you would get a response saying, no, there's no room, and why would you be allowed? I didn't sense anything that was gonna happen. The fact that fashion was gonna be democratized and, you know, anybody from anywhere could have a voice. I didn't anticipate how fashion would change when the internet would open doors for so many people that wanted to work in fashion. To not be invited at all to anything, and then to all of a sudden be placed in the front row of one of these major shows. You know, it was a very intimidating experience. It's almost like being in high school, you know, you always want to be part of the cool club, and, you know, you're always watching them from wherever you're sitting, and I still feel that way. Like, I still feel like this nerd that's watching in and wanting to be part of it.
We've got an amazing panel coming up. It's called Beyond the Blog, leveraging your digital profile for business opportunities.
So, starting to my right, Tom Tun, world-famous street-style photographer. If you don't know, maybe you're in the wrong room.
I still, to this day, don't even think of myself as a photographer. You know, if anything, I really still think of myself as like a fashion enthusiast that just happens to take pictures. This is nothing I'd ever anticipated. Meeting these people and just to be able to stalk him is just like a huge, you know, luxury. I think when I finally figured out what worked best, because I was shy, still am. I think when I realized, okay, I'm gonna take photos, not talk to anyone, and just shoot them being as they are at the shows, I think that's when things made more sense and I could actually find my rhythm, and that's when I decided to launch the blog and start taking these pictures. I love to compare the experience at the shows to Animal Kingdom, you know. All these women, which are like gazelles, just tiptoeing in their brand new Elias stilettos, and their legs are just so elongated, and then they're wearing a mini skirts, and you capture it and you're like, it's almost just like being in nature, and I think that's what's so beautiful about it. When you just start clicking away and just letting things be the way they are, that's when the magic starts happening. That to me is one of my favorites, just because this was way, way, way back before all those other street photographers came in and flooded the Tuileries, you know, like the fact that she could walk quietly by herself, and you know, it's just like a nice silent frozen moment. The fact that she's wearing a zebra Balmain pony skin jacket, you know, it's the best metaphor for the zebra through the Serengeti. I mean, this is what you get now when you shoot in the Tuileries. You don't see any of the beautiful landscape of it. It's just paparazzi. It is very much a competitive market now because of, you know, it's become lucrative, and, you know, magazines and fashion brands and companies see that this type of photography, street style, is very inspiring to, you know, the general public. In most ways, it's more relatable than the imagery that we're used to seeing in fashion magazines. There just seems to be a lot more people that just decided to be a street staffer now. Seriously. Me too, me too, me too. It's changed in a way where there's definitely more photographers, but then also several years ago, people weren't necessarily dressing for the camera, you know. It's definitely become more of a red carpet premiere where people dress up now with the intention of being photographed. So it doesn't feel as honest as it was originally, but it's still the same pace where you're running around from city to city and going to show. I don't know, I feel more alone. The fact that I just have to always be on track, always having to deliver something.
I don't think I got anything either. Oh yeah, you did. No, I didn't. There's something in the way. Did you get anything?
Sometimes it can go until 3 or 4 in the morning. Because that's what's happened now at the pace of fashion. People want things right away and they want to see things eagerly. Images directly from the show happen right away. And you can see them uploaded immediately, but you have to better yourself again and again and again. And if it's not such a great day, then you kind of feel like you failed. You know, you develop this brand and persona through the internet, and then there's this expectation of always having to inspire people. And if anything, I just feel like I have to try to make sure that I inspire myself. Well, I don't mean I inspire myself, but I want to be inspired.
The way you felt in London and Paris that time, regardless...
I didn't get into, well, I mean, I got into some things, but I was more than willing to wait outside at night in the dark just to get a photo of someone.
Is it hard for you now to recapture that feeling?
You just have to find a genuine moment where you aren't, you know, distracted by noise and what's happening in front of you.
These pure, distilled moments of inspiration.
I find myself wanting more and more, especially since this career took off, to shield myself and cleanse myself of being in so many heavily trafficked cities that I just feel like I need to be in my own space to be able to see nothing. Because sometimes you have to see nothing to see something. There's just so much beauty in just looking at the simplest blank canvas. For me, it's just always important to have that personal time just to reevaluate what it is that I want to do with this opportunity, because, you know, sometimes you forget why it is that you're doing what you're doing. Standing in this like complete field of serenity and just walking out, and then not even just caring about anything except being in that moment. I just love when you look at an image and you just feel like you can sense the texture, you know, like what someone's wearing, or you can kind of sense how they'd smell, or you'd hear the sounds of scooters, and then you can imagine the light being not so direct, but just that right glow. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that that's what people feel when they look at an image that I've taken. Just imagine being in that moment. And that's what I've always wanted to do with my pictures, is just try to freeze something that's just so beautiful that in that split second that it just felt right. Way back when I was pushing racks of clothes up and down the garment district in Toronto, and it didn't matter whether or not I was making a certain amount of money or getting any recognition. I was just happy. There's people that perfect what they do for a lifetime, like sushi chefs. You know, it doesn't matter whether or not they're making a certain amount of money or they're getting a certain amount of acclaim. They're just focusing on their craft. Being able to create and be part of the world of fashion is just more than I can ask for, you know. Not a lot of people in this world are able to find something they're passionate about.